Awesome. I always want to come up to like the Darth Vader music instead. I want to get the going. So that's just a quick video about me. It's just a little introduction. It's easier than getting up here and talking over and over. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. Who knows? Just shout it out. Where am I from? Where did I grow up? Alabama. How many children do I have? 4. And the name of my book? Shameless plug. So anyway, the video, it shows you, everybody would say that's part of social recruiting, right? Video's part of it, Facebook, all these things. How many people in the room use social recruiting? Raise your hands. Okay. Some people didn't raise their hands, but I'm going to argue every single person uses social recruiting because by definition, by the very definition, it's social. It's a social event. So think about that. When I was growing up in rural Alabama and we had the little church socials or anything like that, you know, it was always a gathering of people and it was two-way communication, right? If it's going to be social, it's got to be a group or multiple people. So my video did a great job of telling you about me. And recruiting to me is marketing. So I did a great job of telling you who I am, but you didn't give any feedback. You didn't get to do that. So how do you think candidates feel when they're in that situation where you're just pushing out a message to them? You're just pushing out, here's what our company does great, come check us out. Or throwing out a video and you're just push. But I'm going to argue that all these social tools, they're great. I use them every day. I love them. And they've been around for a while. So let's take a look at this slide. Some may have seen this. YouTube, the original YouTube, you used to sit in front of a window and you'd see life going on outside. Kids playing, kids fighting, kids arguing, squirrels playing squirrel. LinkedIn was your Rolodex. Facebook was your address book. You actually had this rotary dial phone. You see this phone down here? That was your Skype. Okay, maybe I didn't see, but it got the same thing. And when I was growing up, we actually had a rotary dial phone, believe it or not, and it was on a party line. If you're familiar with that, that means basically you had 6 people that shared, you had a different phone number, but you shared the same phone line. So I'd literally be talking to someone, and somebody else would pick up on the party line, I need to use the phone. So again, that was a very social event, always not very pleasant, but very social event. So how many people have a Facebook or Twitter account dedicated to your careers channel, your careers employment page? How's it working for you? Is it a great source of candidates? Because what most recruiters do is they say, oh, okay, well, let's throw up a Facebook page, let's throw up a Twitter handle, and we're going to get this abundance of candidates. We're going to throw all our job links out there. And that's a terrible use because all you're doing is you're putting these job links out there, and there's now 6 different places to go find your jobs versus 1. Social media is a tool for engaging, to communicate, to have people engage two-way. And I remember my very first date ever, and I did all the talking, surprise, I know, but I did all of the talking, and it was miserable. But everybody's had that situation, right? You've been in interviews where the candidate just sat there and didn't talk, it wasn't two-way, and that's just, it's not a lot of fun. And so you have to put the social back in it. And we think of social recruiting as all these tools. And I'll tell you a story. I had a guy that I worked with, and he had an opening. And here's a tip. If you ever heard anybody say the Facebook, the Twitter, the anything, they don't know what they're talking about. So this guy, he's got a search, he's got an opening, and he says he's embracing social recruiting. I was like, okay. I said, so I'm like, what? Where's the status on the opening you have? He goes, you know what? I Twittered it. And I said, you did? Okay. How's that working? He said, well, I'm expecting some response. So I go and I look at his profile. 12 followers. 6 of them already worked for him. 6 of them were probably people that I'm not going to click on their profiles at the office and have somebody come over and slap a lawsuit on me. Let's just say spam people following him. So I told him, I said, this isn't social recruiting. This isn't what it's all about. Who are you engaging? Who are you talking to? The big part about all of this is there needs to be a strategy. So recruitment is marketing. It's always social. But there has to be a strategy behind it. And so I recently started at YP, which is the Reinvented Yellow Pages. How many people knew that YP was the Reinvented Yellow Pages? Good. Our message is working. So we have a huge rebranding effort. I know these people know because they're with me. But we have this huge rebranding effort for the company, but the company was smart enough to say, you know what, we're rebranding everything here. We've got this YP, we're reinvented. We got all these ads. We're taking over Times Square. We're doing these really cool things. But what about the employer brand? We're also trying to hire lots of people. So we're going from this print book that's yellow to this digital, mobile, everything. And so what we needed to do, the challenge was we're hiring this type of person. So we needed a strategy. So the employer strategy, when I came in, the first thing I did was created this 15-page document. Sounds like a lot. There's a lot of pictures, so it makes it really long, a lot longer. But it developed the strategy. It outlined it. It said, what's our careers page look like? Where's our social channels for career specific? How are we integrating video? How are we doing all of these things to encourage two-way communication? And we'll talk a little bit later at the end about some of the specific strategies and accomplishments. But that was just it. We had to have a strategy behind what we were doing. Another thing that's really key in recruiting is technology. You can have the best technology and not be doing things right. Because what happens is people get too dependent upon the technology. They have an applicant tracking system that they don't even respond to candidates in, or they do mass emails and it's the canned email. Thank you for your time. You're under deep consideration for this position. If we have something that fits you, we'll get back to you, blah, 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 right? And candidates, they know that this is canned. I mean, they know it. There's no personality there. And so at a previous company, one of the things we did, we had an applicant tracking system that we installed, and it was a social-based system, JobVite, if you're familiar with that system. But we had a very small team. We had 150 employees. They were spread out globally, and we had 2 employees running all of talent acquisition. And so what we did is we took this system and we made everybody a recruiter in the company. So everybody was taking the links, and when a marketing job came open, the marketing team, it would blast out to LinkedIn, it would blast out to their Facebook page, their Twitter. So they were blasting the links, but all of our messages, when you were coming back to the job postings, when you were coming back to the social sites, all of our message was around the culture. Maybe we're giving tips about interviewing. So, everybody you hire doesn't get a job, right? So we give tips on interviewing and hiring. Now, here's some scary things about recruiting technology, a little peek into the future. Google Glass, if you're familiar with that. I think it's phenomenal. You can wear these glasses. You look really cool in them. And you're walking around, and you've kind of got your computer right there. You can ask for directions, Lowe's Hotel, and it'll take you, and you can walk to it. Did you know within the first couple of weeks that there was actually someone hacked Google Glass, and what they were able to do was they could walk and they could scan a person, facial recognition, look them up and find their LinkedIn profile, Facebook profiles, everything. Now, we kind of say that's kind of creepy. How many people think that's creepy? Show of hands. All right, those that didn't, get a good visual of who those people are. I don't think it's so creepy because in 10 years, it'll probably be the norm. You'll probably sit there in an interview with a much thinner set of glasses that look just like the ones you're wearing if you wear glasses, and you'll look at people and you'll do that scan and you'll have all the information. It'll replace the paper resume because everything's going digital, right? Paper's going completely away, correct? No, look on your paper. It's not going completely away, but it is doing this. Digital's doing this. And so so then you can also see good and bad. I mean, obviously, if you've got the Google goggles and you scan this, and this person hacked it, so how long is it going to be before that's in full implementation? So candidate experience, that's another hot topic. This was from a previous company as well. If you're familiar with the Candidate Experience Awards, basically they scrub your system. They want to know, what are you doing? Are candidates getting lost in this black hole? And how many times does that happen, right? I mean, and here's the thing. We've all talked about today, employer of choice, but who are we really talking about? We're talking about our employees, our people. Where does this entire process begin? It begins at the candidate experience. So let me ask you, when does candidate experience begin? What's the beginning point of a candidate's experience? Is it when they apply for a job? Earlier than that, maybe? Is it when they find out about your company? Yeah, when they find out about your company, when they know about your product, anything like that. When does the candidate experience end? Is it once they're hired? After they leave? It never ends. They're an alumnus of your company. So when they come in, we've talked about this today, people are building these relationships. They're growing these relationships. They're there 2 or 3 years. They leave. They become part of this alumni association. They still talk to those same people. They still talk about friends, and they reminisce positive or negatively. How many people have rejected candidates and had those candidates you rejected refer people to your company for jobs. We did. And that's one of the reasons why we were able to get the award with distinction. And the way that we did that is we had open, transparent communication. So when we would interview people, if somebody wasn't a fit, I've stopped interviews 20 minutes in and said, I just really don't think this is a fit, but let me tell you why. Now that's difficult, and you have to be delicate, but it's honest and transparent. We would, anytime we had a person interview, went to the second or third round, you've narrowed it down to your final 2 candidates, let's say. It's kind of like dating, recruiting and dating and marketing, it's all the same. You've narrowed it down to the final 2. You select one, you don't select the other. What do you do with that other person? Do you just push them off to the side, hope they don't call? It's what a lot of companies do. And in all honesty, you need to approach that, let them know why. I literally had one time, I had 2 candidates that were exactly matched, to be completely honest. The resumes were almost identical. The manager was like, I can't choose one or the other. It really doesn't matter. But you had to choose one. You couldn't hire them both. And so he chose one, so I had to call the other one with the news of why that person wasn't selected. And I could have taken the chicken route and really just made something up. But I was very honest. I said, we literally came down to 2 people, and we literally had to choose one. We chose the other person. Do you know that person became one of our largest brand ambassadors? She would consistently retweet information. She would consistently write about us. She had a blog that she would write about us. But you have to treat people the right way. That candidate experience is very important. And so make sure that throughout the entire process that you're engaging people. I would engage people openly on social media, and I encourage that. When somebody asks a comment, hey, I didn't get a call about the interview, I'll respond, well, unfortunately, we're not going to interview you. Here's why. Give me a call, or let's talk. Or just pick up the phone and call them. Anybody recognize this, the Help Wanted ads? So we've got this recruiting technology which makes everything easier, right? We can now write full job descriptions. We can write these job descriptions that are about this long, like a 12-year-old boy's Christmas list, right? How many people in here, not counting the people that write the job description, when you've applied or looked for a job, how many people read that job description from beginning to end, every single word? 1 person. 2 people. 2 people. Most people don't, and that's just who we are. That's what we've become trained, right? Because another point is old school has really become the new school. Think about it. When you place that Help Wanted ad, you had to get a lot of information in a little bit of space. Remember, you had like 60 words or whatever the characters were? You see where I'm going with this? Where are we today? We're doing the same thing with Twitter and things like that. But we're saying, well, this is better. It's better than it was then. It's the same thing. But what we've gotten away from is we take those job descriptions and we write everything out, and it gets lost. Do you know where most people, when they look for jobs, a lot of people are looking on this. You got so much space. When I Google, I go to Indeed or any of those spaces, how much of the opening of the job description do I see? I see the first 2 lines. So let's say I go into a meeting, my boss ticks me off, I'm pissed, I leave the meeting, I go back to my desk, I shut down YouTube, and I shut down all my social channels, because I've been surfing, and I start looking for jobs, right? I look on my mobile device. The things that's going to catch my attention, and that, because I got short time span, it's going to be those first 2 lines. So what's more impactful on your job descriptions? Having the company, YP is looking for a director of marketing in the Atlanta, Georgia area. Check us out because we are blah, blah, blah. So that's the first 2 things. And then people see all your jobs, and that's all they see for those first 2 lines. Make it exciting. How about YP the Reinvented Yellow Pages is seeking a director of marketing with direct mail experience, with a startup mentality, entrepreneurship, and guess what? We're a company that you don't have to worry about all the hassles that come with being a startup because we've got 6,000 employees and multi-billion-dollar company. That's going to attract the talent you want. You want to attract the talent that's right for your company and your culture, not the talent that's just looking for a job, like the Help Wanted ads. So I'll finish off. I'll tell you a little bit about kind of the strategies we implemented at YP, right? Because I can get up here and blow a lot of smoke, but you want to know, okay, how does this work? How is this accomplished? So when I started, there's a lot to be done in the career section. We're building all those out. But we had a huge push for millennials college students. We had a college recruiting effort, and we talked about that a lot today. And we said, okay, short term, we're going to these career fairs. What do we need to do? How do we attract this particular type of talent? And obviously, we got strategies long term and short term for all of our talent, but I'm just going to touch on this one. How do we attract this particular talent? So we're not just print, we're digital. We've rebranded. We're mobile. How about if we do something mobile? Secondly, the type of people we're trying to attract, how do they communicate? Do they want long job descriptions, or do they want short bits of information? They want to see behind the scenes, behind the culture. They also are very social conscious. They want to know, what are you doing? What's your corporate responsibility? What types of things are you doing? And so we decided to go with Vine, Twitter, and Instagram. Instagram, obviously, pictures, photos, highlight the environment. Vine, so we kicked off a Vine campaign where we go to employees, and you got 7 seconds for video, and you say basically, what do you like working at? Why do you like working at YP? Now, we're going to use these videos. We're using them on the Vine channel. We're going to actually use those and embed those in career pages and future iterations as well. But you can get short bits of information, and you can change it out, and it becomes very interactive. And with Twitter, one of the first things we did, we talked to the recruiting team, and we said, you know, recruiters, you're really our ambassadors here because you're our front line of defense. We're not going to be tweeting out job links. What we are going to do is we're going to use this to push out messaging. Hey, guess what? Here's some interview tips. Because maybe you interviewed with us, maybe you didn't, but obviously if you're looking for a job, that's something that's going to be helpful. So that takes it to another step. We want to be helpful. So do I think social recruiting itself is going to die? No. I think it's a redundant statement. I think that we come up with these terms, talent community, social recruiting. We come up with these terms and we use them, and it sounds great, and it sounds like we know what we're talking about. But at the end of the day, it's always been this. It's always been social. We've got the tools. We've got all these things. And so what you can do, if you have a mess, if you have a bunch of garbage, you can take it and you can wrap it in tinfoil, shine it up, but guess what? It's still just garbage in tinfoil, right? All right, thank you.